All right, all right, all right. So tonight we're going to be covering how to get a pay raise. We're going to talk about lead generation. I'm going to give you the entire system. I'm going to give you the entire system. No one else in my econ has this because I designed this, and I'm going to give you the entire system. So if you will, I'm going to actually go to, I'm going to go here and do my first presentation here. And so what I want to talk about tonight is get a pay raise lead generation. If you want your My Econ business to grow, you need to have customers and you need to have business partners. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about some different ideas of the things that you can actually do to help you get customers and business partners. Now, as you can see on the screen, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about, let's see here, hit present, let me see if that'll work. All right. I'm going to talk about Craigslist at first. And I'm going to speak to Craigslist, but this works for any type of classified advertising that you want to do. And I've created your ad automatically here. So your ad says, learn how to get a $200 to $500 pay raise without asking your boss. Call 24-hour pre-recorded message, 641-715-3900, extension 699950. Now, I want you guys to write that down, 699950, yes. So I want you guys to write down that number, okay? The reason why I want you to write down that number is because I want you to listen to the 24-hour pre-recorded message. This is something that I had sent out to most of you probably on this call. I have the pre-recorded message, but I also have the document of that pre-recorded message so that if you want to do it in your voice, that's fine. I gave you guys the MP3. So if you don't have the MP3, contact me. I'll send you the MP3. It's of my voice. I am probably going to go to Fiverr and pay $5 to have somebody with that sort of radio voice or professional voice do it. And then I'm going to upload it to my voice message service, okay? But this is what you're going to do. You're going to just go to your local Craigslist advertising, and you're going to post in the classified ad section, learn how to get a $200 to $500 pay raise without asking your boss. Called 24-hour pre-recorded message. And then you're going to put your voice message number and the extension, okay? Now, I have a video that talks about the voice messaging service. And that voice messaging service, I'm going to open this window back up. It's called simplevoicebox.com. I'm sorry, simplevoicebox.com. Simplevoicebox.com. And you can get a free voice box if you want it with a extension number. Or you can get a toll-free, and you'll get charged 6 cents per minute, or you can get a private number, and that'll be $4.95. And the private number does not require an extension. I just went with the standard service. It gives me a phone number with an extension, and I just went with that. Simple Voice Box. I do have a video on my YouTube channel that shows you how to set up your voicemail. Shows you how to set up your voicemail, but it's pretty standard, okay? This is really, really easy. You take your audio, upload your audio. That will be the voice message. And then you want to make sure that they have the option of actually leaving a voice message for you. So when they go to the advertisement, and here's the advertisement, and they call, it's going to give them like a 3-4 minute message, and then it's going to ask them to leave their name and number if they would like to be contacted on how to get a $200 to $500 pay raise. Okay? So that's one way of generating leads. The next way of generating leads is if you're on Facebook or Instagram. What you want to do is you want to go out and get some pictures. And here's one that I just created here today. I created this section here, where I got two guys at an ATM. One guy's getting money out. One guy is on the side where it says out of order. And then right below it, I said, learn how to get a $200 to $500 pay raise without asking your boss. Call 24-hour pre-recorded message. Now, let me just explain to you why I use this particular verbiage. Call 24-hour pre-recorded message. What that will tell people who see this is they don't have any fear of calling the number because they know that they're not going to speak to a live person. That's why I use call 24-hour pre-recorded message. That way they will definitely call the number and listen to the message. Now, if they decide that they want to leave their name and their contact information at the end of the call, those are people that you want to contact immediately. Those are the ones that you want to contact first. But here's the nice thing about this service that we use. Even if they call and listen to the message and don't leave a message, you're going to get an email with their phone number that's going to say who dialed into your voicemail. Okay? That's pretty powerful. You'll get an email that will tell you that somebody dialed into your voice message. And let me see if I have one in my email. I'm just going to go to my email here, and I just want to show you what that looks like. If you get a message in your email box, I want to just show you what it looks like. Let's see. We're going to go with simple voice. Let me see if it'll pull up. That's not it. Here we go. Simple voice box service. That's the registration. That's not what I'm looking for. That's when I registered. It may not show it because I usually delete them. Let me just see here real quick. I wanted to show you what it actually looks like, but it's probably not going to show it because I usually delete them when they come in. Yeah. So I don't have any that I've got here in my email, but what it will do is it will definitely email you, and it will actually give you the number of every person that actually dialed in to that voice box. So that's what you want. You want that simple voice box so that it will dial in for you. Okay. So I'm not gonna scroll here in my email here. We're gonna go back here. Okay. So now let's just say that you've got somebody that's left you a couple of messages, and now it's time for you to call back and follow up. The question that you might have is, what do I say? What do I say to them when I call in? And so what I've done is I've created a little script for you, and at the end of the call tonight, if you want the script, I will actually send the script to you so you can get this script. But now, someone has seen your advertisement, get $200 to $500 back. They left their name and their phone number. Maybe they gave you their email address. What you're going to do is you're going to pick the phone up and you're going to call them back. And you're going to say, hello, may I speak with whatever their name is. So I might say, hello, may I speak with Jackie? And then Jackie's going to say, this is Jackie. And I'm going to say, hi, Jackie, my name is June Collier, and I'm returning your call in reference to an ad that you responded to regarding getting $200 to $500 back in your check without asking your boss. So the first thing that I'm letting her know is that I am returning her call. So this isn't a cold call. This is me returning her call in reference to an ad that you responded to regarding getting $200 to $500 back in your check without asking your boss. So that's the first thing that I'm saying, because I'm giving her an awareness of why I am giving her a call. And then the very next thing that I'm going to launch into is I'm going to say this. Miss Jackie, I have a few qualifying questions to ask, and based on your answers, I will set up a 15-minute appointment for you to speak with a qualified associate to help you with that process. Is that fair? Okay? And I'm going to put that down. Is that fair? So what I want her to do is I want to get her to saying yes. Okay, is that fair? All right. Now, why did I do that? Because I do not want her asking me a whole bunch of questions about what is this all about? How does this work? If she asks me, what is this all about? How does this work? Then what I'm going to tell her is, Ms. Jackie, what I'm doing is just pre-qualifying you. And then once we pre-qualify you, I can have someone, an associate, get back with you and contact you. And what they're going to do is they're going to go over and answer all of your questions. We promise to answer all of your questions. But if you'll allow me to pre-qualify you, and once I pre-qualify you, I can set up an appointment, and then we'll have a representative get in contact with you who will explain all of the details. That's why I'm positioning this verbiage the way that I am. I want you to position yourself on this initial call as just the order taker, as just the person who is taking orders, okay? Now, I'm going to ask her, are you available right now to answer, and I think I got 10 here, 10 simple questions. They're very quick, they're very easy, very short questions. And then I'm going to say, are you currently employed? And if she says yes, then we're going to go to the next question. If she says no, then you're going to say, well, if you're not employed, there's no way that this program is going to work because you have to be employed in order to get $200 to $500 without asking your boss for a pay raise, okay? So the first question is, are you employed? She's going to say yes. My next question is, are you a W-2 employee or are you a 1099 self-employed? And if she asks any questions about that, I'm just going to say, do you get a W-2 at the end of the year or do you get a 1099 at the end of the year? So if she gets a 1099, then the thing that I will tell her at this point is I'll say, well, based on you getting a 1099, you're not going to be getting a pay raise from your boss because you work for yourself and you're self-employed. Then I'm going to go to the next question. Did you file taxes last year? That's very important because you want to find out if she filed taxes or not. And then once she says, yes, I filed taxes, what status did you file? Did you file single, married, or head of household? Most people are going to fall in one of those three qualifications, single, married, or head of household. Then I'm going to ask, how many dependent children do you have? And these are children that you plan on claiming on your taxes. She'll tell me 0, 3, 5, 12, however many dependent children that she has. The next question, did you receive a refund last year? Now, this is very important because if the person received a refund last year, chances are nothing has changed in their life from last year to this year. They're at the same job, they're making the same amount of money, they got the same number of kids, pretty much the same. So if they tell me that they got a refund last year, then I'm going to ask, was your refund more than $3,000 or was it less? So if it's more than $3,000, then I'm going to skip number 8, question number 8, okay? If it was less than $3,000, then the next question I'm going to ask was your refund more than $2,000, okay? And if it's less than $2,000, we're probably not going to be able to give them $200 to $500 back. If they tell me it was less than $2,000, I'm going to then say, chances are we can still help you with some money, but it won't be $200 or better. It's probably going to be closer to $100. Okay? Now, here's the reason why. If you got back $3,000 last year, basically what we're going to do is I'm going to pull up my calculator, and I'm just going to take $3,000 and divide it by 12 months. And that person paid $250 more than what they should have paid because they got a $3,000 refund. That means that they paid $250 more than what they should have paid. And so that's how I know that they overpaid in their taxes and I can get them $200 to $500. But if they got a refund of, let's just say, $1,200, if they got a refund of $1,200, then I'm going to divide that by 12, and I'm probably going to be able to get them about $100 a month added into their check. Okay? So that's why these questions are vitally important. because they will give you a gauge of what to say when you have your 15 to 20-minute consultation, okay? Once you ask them about the refund, the last question that you want to ask them is, will you be able to schedule 15 minutes of uninterrupted time in front of your computer with internet access while you speak with one of our associates? That's very important. You need to find out if they have internet access and if they can give you 15 minutes of uninterrupted time. Okay? Is everybody okay with that? All right. Now, once they tell you yes, then the next thing you need to do is schedule the appointment. Go ahead and set the appointment for a good time for you. You don't have to let them know that you're scheduling the appointment for you, but you're going to find out when's a good time for them, and then you're going to look at your calendar and determine if that's a good time for you. And you're going to set up an appointment for when it will be a great time for both you and that person to get in front of the computer. Now, at this point in time, you're not going to let them know that it's going to be you that's calling them, okay? Because that will then destroy the whole thing, and then they're going to start asking a whole bunch of questions. And then once you schedule the appointment, you want to get that person's name, email address, and phone number. You want to get those three things when you set up the appointment. And then just tell the person, please expect a call on tomorrow, which is Wednesday at 5 p.m., and be prepared to be in front of your computer so that the associate may share his or her screen with you. And then at that point, you're pretty much done at that point, okay? You've got the appointment, you've got everything, all the information, and then you're good to go, okay? All right? Do I have any questions on the call at this point?
No, not for me.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. That's Mr. John. How you doing today, Mr. John?
I'm doing super duper.
All right. That's John Martindale, everybody. Who had a question?
June, this is Noble.
Hey, Noble.
When you talked about associate calling, have associate to call them back, who will be the associate?
You are going to be the associate.
Okay.
You're going to be the associate. But the reason why in my marketing here that I'm telling them that they're going to have an associate call them back is because you're not in the position right now to be answering all of their questions.
Okay.
Okay? Because you called them on the phone. They may not be in front of their computer. They may not have time to get in front of their computer. And for you to help them get that $200 to $500, you need them sitting in front of their computer.
Okay.
So what you tell them is that I'll have an associate to give you a call back. The associate is you.
Okay.
But they don't need to know that on that initial call.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, cool.
Good question. Any other questions?
The 641-715-3900 and the extension, when we put the ad in, how do they know that it's going to us?
Okay. Good question, John. So, John, the number that you see here on your screen, I want you guys to write that down, and I want you to listen to the call. That's my number. So you don't want to give out this number, because if you give out this number, they're going to come to my call, and I'm going to see that somebody called. So what you're going to do is you're going to listen to that call, and then you're going to go to Simply Voice Box. That's where I got my number from, and you're going to sign up for this free voice number. I've got a video, and I'll send everybody the video, and you're going to take either the audio that I sent you, and my audio will say, get back with, my audio says one of our associates will give you a call, okay? And so you can use my audio if you want to use my audio. Or if you want to do an audio yourself, I will send you the script, and I'll let you do your own audio if that's what you want to do. But you'll have your own number when you come here and set this up. So I want to make sure that everybody gets that. This number that you see on the screen, I only want you to listen to it so that you can hear what the message is. But you're going to have a different number there with a different extension because that will be your number, and they will be calling and leaving messages on your voicemail instead of mine. Okay?
That sounds good.
Okay, great. So, and guys, I'm going to send all of this to you. Well, as a matter of fact, we're recording this, so you guys will be able to play back the recording as well. So you'll see these ads. Now, for some of you, one of the other things that I have done is, let's just say that you run the ad online, and you ran the ad online. So instead of them leaving a message, you could drive them straight to your Google Forms. And this is a Google Forms that I put together, and it says get $300 to $500. I should change it to $200 to $500. And you'll see that they can put their name, their email address, their phone number, the best time to contact, and then I ask them those same questions. Are you currently employed? Do you receive a W-2 or a 1099? Are you single, married, divorced? How many children do you have? Did you file a tax return last year? Did you receive a refund? And then I ask them, how much was their refund? So I'll send you guys a link to this as well so that you can create your own form. If you have not been through my training on how to create a Google form, get with me and I'll show you how to create your own form. And when you create this form, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get a spreadsheet, and every time somebody fills out the form, it's going to put their name, their email address, their phone number, best time to contact, and it's going to show all of their answers to those questions that I asked. Okay? So it's going to show all of that. And then you'll just take this form and you'll say, okay, Carol gave me a call. Here's her email address if I need to email her. Here's her phone number. And she told me that the best time to call her was on August 6th at 5:30. So I'm going to give her a call at that time. Okay? And when I give her a call, I'm just going to do some general talking, and then I'm going to schedule for a 15-minute consultation. If she has time and can get in front of the computer right then we'll do it then. If not, we'll schedule for a 15-minute consultation. Okay? Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the consultation and I'm going to show you how I do this. But before I move into that consultation, I want to make sure that you guys know what just happened on the front end for the advertising, for driving the traffic. Any questions on how I get people to call me or leave me a message? Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
This is Jacqueline. With this that you're showing right now, the spreadsheet data automatically, once they answer the questions, it'll automatically create a spreadsheet for us, you're saying?
Yes, it will create a spreadsheet for you, and there's a plug-in that you can add when you create this form. Let me go here. I'm going to go to, I'm going to close this out. And if I go to my forms, I'm going to show you where you can have it automatically email you. So every time somebody fills out that form, it will automatically email you. So let me pull up the form. Here it is right here. So this is me creating the form. Okay. And if you guys have been through my training, you've seen this. If you haven't been through my training, like I said, send me an email and I'll train you on how to create the form. But what you want to do is up here where it says add-ons, you want to click on that and you want to get add-ons. And the add-on that you want to get is going to be called form notifications. So you'll click get add-ons and then you'll see this one here that says form notifications. You'll click on that, and then it will add that. And then what you'll do is once it adds it, then what you'll see here under add-ons, you'll see form notification. Then you can configure that notification. So I'm going to click on configure. And then over here to the right, it says notify me by sending an email to me every time one person responds. It's going to have 10 in there. You want to change that to 1. So every time somebody responds, it'll send you an email, and you will know to go in and look at your form, your spreadsheet.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay?
Yes.
All right. All right. And again, this is for everybody that's on this call. If some of this is over your head, because I've trained some of the people that's on the call how to do these forms and how to do the voice messages, if that's over your head, don't worry. I already have all of that training recorded, and I will work with you one-on-one to help you set that up. But I just want you to see how I'm marketing my business, and I'm getting people to either put this online or get them to pick up the phone and call me and leave their name and number. All right? Any other questions on the front end of the advertising? Any other questions on that? Okay. I'm going to assume that nobody has any questions on that. I'm going to close these things out right here. I'll close out this email. I'll close this out. I'm going to close this out. And what we're going to do next is I want you to imagine that you are now on the phone with a person for their 15-minute consultation. Okay? So what I'm going to tell the person is I'm going to tell the person, because I've gotten their email address, I'm going to email them in advance, and I'm going to tell them to join me at joinme.com or join.me, whatever the code is. Okay, so everybody on the call should get a free join.me account. So that person's going to log in, and I'm going to share the screen with them, just like I'm sharing my screen with you today. Okay? And so what I'm going to say is, and Noble, if you will role play with me, we'll go through this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Noble up, and I'm going to just say something to the effect of, hey, Noble, this is June Collier. I actually reached out to you yesterday and scheduled an appointment. I am going to actually be your associate that's going to walk you through how to get that $200 to $500 back. Is now still a good time? Okay.
That is just time right there, June. Oh, you want me to talk or no?
Yeah.
That is just time. I'm not in front of a computer or anything. I'm still in my car.
Okay. Well, Noble, what we'll need to do is we need to get in front of a computer. So I asked you when we scheduled, I told you when we scheduled that I need you to be in front of a computer. So what we're going to have to do is reschedule your meeting, because you absolutely have to be in front of a computer in order for me to show you how this works.
I'll be home in 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, Noble, I actually have an appointment right after your appointment. What I can do is we can reschedule the appointment. Okay. Now, let me share with you guys why I just did that. You don't want anybody thinking that you're just sitting around twiddling your thumbs waiting on them. See, when I scheduled the appointment with Noble, I called him at the appropriate time. He was not in front of his computer. He was not at home. So what I need him to know is that my time is valuable. I will reschedule an appointment with you, but I ain't going to reschedule an appointment with you in 10 minutes. Even if I ain't got nothing to do in 10 minutes. Even if I don't have anything left to do in 10 minutes. See, one of the things that we need to do in this business is we have to set the posture. We got to have correct posture. And what that means is we need to make sure that our posture says that we are professionals. And if you didn't make my appointment or you didn't think enough to be on time, and I'm here to show you how to put $200 to $500 back in your pocket, I don't care. You almost have to have that attitude of, look, it's your $200 to $500 that I'm going to help you get. If you don't want to be on time and you don't want to have that, then it ain't my business. I'm going on to the next person. You need to always be perceived as being busy. Everybody understand that? Don't be desperate. There's enough people in this world. There's 101 million people who need this. So that one person who wasn't at home when they said they was going to be at home, right there, that tells me one thing. Okay? So We're going to go back and we'll role play that again, Noble, but let's just say that this time you are at home, okay? So here's what I'm going to say. Hey, Noble, this is June Collier. I spoke with you yesterday, and we scheduled an appointment for this time so that I can help you and show you how to get $200 to $500 back in your check. Is now still a good time for you?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, Noble, I need you to go to join.me, and then I'm going to give him the details, and Noble's going to connect with me on join.me, okay? And then the next thing I'm going to ask is, Noble, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when we do this call, I want you to listen to the questions that I'm asking him. The questions that I'm asking him are questions that are making him say yes, 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 yes. And as I ask him these questions, he's going to get used to saying yes, okay? So Noble says that he can see my screen. So Noble, the first thing that I want to do is I want to share with you this government document that I talked about that will help you get $200 to $500 back in your check. So the first thing I want to do, Noble, and if you guys are looking at your screen, you will see that I'm bringing up the Internal Revenue Services page where it says Big Refund, Big Tax Bill. And so what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to make sure that it's zoomed in really good so that he can see it, okay? Actually, boom. So everybody should be able to see the document pretty well. And I'm going to say, Noble, this is a document that came back from the Internal Revenue Service. You can see that it's dated April 29th of 2005. So this document is about 10 years old, but the information on the document still applies. Now, Noble, what it says is that more than 101 million taxpayers got refunds, and that's about 80% of Americans. 80% of Americans get refunds back. Noble, are you one of those 80%?
Yes.
Yes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I already know that he's going to say yes. How do I know that? Because of the questions that I asked yesterday, because of whatever form that he filled out. I already know that he's one of those that got a refund back. I just want him to see this document, and I want him to say, yes, I'm one of those people. And then I'm going to say, Noble, back in 2005, the average refund was about $2,100. Today, the average refund is between $2,800 to $3,000. Now, the reason why I'm going to say that is because I know, based on the questions that I asked yesterday, I know that he got back $3,000 plus because he told me. Now, Noble's not going to think that he told me that yesterday, but I got all the answers that he answered, the day before whenever we got a chance to talk. And I'm looking at it, and I know that he got back $3,000 or more. So I'm going to tell him the average refund today is somewhere between $2,700 and $3,000. So again, he's saying, okay, this is true because I got back $3,000. And then I'm going to say, now, Noble, let me scroll through the document here. The document asks people, where does their refund come from? And the document simply says that it comes from your wallet or purse when you tell your employer how much to withhold from your paycheck. So, Noble, you are actually telling your employer how much money to withhold from your paycheck. And this form that we're going to go over today, I'm going to help you so that you actually fill it out correctly so that you're not overpaying the government and you can actually get this money back into your check by your next pay period. Noble, is that something that you like? Could you use an extra $200 a month?
Yes.
Okay, so Noble says yes again, okay? Now, here's what I'm going to tell Noble. I'm going to tell Noble the next line says that you might be using the extra withholdings as a forced savings method. But Uncle Sam doesn't pay interest on refunds. And here's what Uncle Sam says. Putting the money in any type of savings account or paying down debt might be a better option. Now, Noble, let me just kind of ask you this question. Noble, if you were renting an apartment and your apartment was $1,000 a month, would you go ahead and pay your landlord $1,200 a month and just tell him to hold your $200 every month and just give it back to you at the end of 12 months? Or would you pay him $1,000 a month, which was what the apartment lease was for? Which one would you do?
$1,000 a month.
Right. So you would pay $1,000 a month. You would not overpay your lease by $200 a month just so that your landlord can hold the money for you and give it back to you at 12 months. So Noble, why would you let the government hold your money for 12 months and then give it back to you? You shouldn't. And in fact, the government is telling you that you would be better off taking that extra money, either putting it in savings or some type of investment or paying down your debt. Noble, does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Okay. So now, guys, the reason why I'm asking Noble these questions is because I want him to get on my side. I want him to understand that it does not make sense for you to get a refund at the end of the year. It makes more sense for you to use your money while your money is available to you every month, because no one would pay their lease on the apartment. They would not overpay. If it's $1,000 a month, that's what they're going to pay. They're not going to pay their landlord $1,200 a month and then ask him to keep the $200 for them. That's just ridiculous. And so when you tell people in that manner, they won't come back and say, well, I like the government to keep my money, because we've already established that that's stupid. Without me saying that it's stupid, I gave them that scenario, and they chose the scenario, so they already know that that's stupid. Okay? I want you guys to make sure, because everything that I say is important, because you don't want people coming back saying, well, I like getting a tax refund. So see, in this business, I've heard people say that. I like getting a tax refund. So I go back and ask them, well, you like getting a tax refund? Let me ask you a question. If you were renting an apartment for $1,000 a month, would you pay your landlord $1,200 and tell him to hold the $200 for you every month and then pay you back at the end of the year? And they'd be like, no, that's stupid. And I would say, exactly. Why are you letting the government do the same? Okay? So all we're doing is we're tying that person up so that instead of us telling them that it's stupid, we're tying them up and making them realize that it's not wise for them to get a refund back. Okay? So here's what I will tell them at this point. I would say, okay, now Noble, this is a document from the IRS. So this is how we're going to help you put $200 to $500 back in your check. And in fact, the document that we're going to use is a government document. So I'm not going to give you any document that I've created. I'm going to give you a government document. And so, Noble, if you're watching your screen, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to this search engine called Google, and I'm going to type in the word W-4 IRS 2015. And ladies and gentlemen, I want them to see me type this into Google. I don't want to have the W-4 already up and running. I want them to see me type in the W-4, because now they see that I'm actually pulling up a live document from the IRS. And I'm going to say, Noble, as you can see, this document is coming from irs.gov. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this W-4 form. Now, what you want to do when the W-4 form comes up, you want to zoom in as good as you can, because you got to remember, they're watching on your screen. And then what I'm going to say is, Noble, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, it will tell you the purpose of this form. And it says, complete the W-4 form so that your employer can withhold the correct federal income tax from your pay. So this is the form, Noble, that you typically fill out. Now, Noble, here's the next important thing, and the reason why a lot of people get refunds. It says, consider completing a new W-4 form each year and when your personal or financial situation changes. Now, Noble, I've been doing this business for quite some time, and I talk to a lot of people. And most people, the only time that they ever fill out a W-4 is the day they actually started working there. And if they've been working on the job 4, 5, 6 years, they haven't changed the W-4 the entire time that they've been working on that job. Noble, within 4 or 5 years, something has changed in their life. Either they've had a child, they got married, they got divorced, they bought a house. There's a lot of different things that can happen in your life. And that's why this document says that you should update it every year, because your personal or financial situation might have changed. And that's why a lot of people have all of these refunds that are coming back because they have their W-4 filled out improper or incorrectly. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Again, I'm getting a yes from him, all right? And so here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go through this, and I'm going to say, now, Noble, I want you to be somebody, I want you to be married with 2 children, okay? So we're going to put down 2 children. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, Noble, we're going to go through this form, and this form is called personal allowances. Personal allowances. Now, Noble, you told me that you have a wife and 2 children. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, Noble, the other mistake that most people make is they say, well, if I have a wife and 2 children, that's 4 of us, they usually will claim 4. They will claim 4. And, Noble, that's actually incorrect. In fact, let me open up another screen for you. I'm going to go back to Google, and this time I'm going to pick up the 1040 form. And you're probably familiar with the 1040 form. I'm going to open that form up as well. Let me zoom in so that you can see this. Noble, on the 1040 form, you're going to see this thing called exemptions. The exemptions is yourself, your spouse, and your 2 children. That's where the number 4 comes from. But that's called exemptions. But if you look at the W-4, this is called allowances. So, Noble, a lot of people mistake that allowances for exemptions. And they're 2 different things, okay? So as we go through and I ask you these questions, you're going to probably have more allowances than exemptions that you have. Again, I'm just educating you on how this actually works. And so I'm going to say line 1 says enter 1 for yourself. We'll put 1 here. And then I'm going to say, now line B says this, enter 1 if you're single and have only 1 job. Well, Noble, I know that you're not single. Enter 1 if you're married, have only 1 job, and your spouse does not work. Enter 1 if your wages from a second job or your spouse's wages are less than $1,500. So now what I'm going to say with Noble is I'm going to say, Noble, I know that you're married. Does your spouse work?
Yes.
Okay. And does she make more than $1,500 a year?
Yes.
Okay. So, Noble, because your spouse does work and she makes more than $1,500, we're going to put 0 here because that does not qualify her or qualify you to enter 1. Now, line C says enter 1 for your spouse, but you may choose to enter 0 if you're married and have either a working spouse or more than 1 job. Entering 0 may help you avoid having too little tax withheld. Well, Noble, because you got a refund last year, what we're going to do is you didn't have too little, you actually gave too much. So because of that, we're going to enter 1 for your spouse. So we're entering 1 on line C. Now, on line D, enter the number of dependents other than your spouse and yourself who you will claim on your tax return. And Noble, you told me you had 2 small children. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter 2 here for your 2 small children. On the next line, it says enter 1 if you will file as head of household on your tax return. Now, Noble, most men will say that I'm head of my house, and that is true, but that is not what this statement means, head of household. In fact, if I scroll back up on this form, it will give you the definition of head of household, and I'm going to read it. Generally, you can claim head of household filing status on your tax return only if you are unmarried and pay more than 50% of the cost of keeping up a home for yourself and for your dependents. So, Noble, if you were a single father, then I could claim you as head of household. Or if I was talking to a single parent, I could claim them as head of household. Or if I was talking to someone who was single and they were taking care of an elderly parent, you would file head of household. But because you do not fit in any of those categories, on line E, we're going to put 0. Now, it says enter 1 if you have at least $2,000 of child or dependent care expenses which you plan to claim credit. Now, Noble, I know that you have a job, I know that your wife has a job, and you have 2 small children. So I'm assuming that you have daycare expenses. Is that true or not? Do you have daycare expenses?
Yes.
Okay. So since you have daycare expenses, and I'm sure that daycare is going to be more than $2,000 a year, we're going to go ahead and enter 1 here. Okay? And then, Noble, we have the child tax credit. Here's what it says. If your total income will be less than $65,000 or less than $100,000 if married, enter 2 for each eligible child. Noble, with you and your wife working, do you guys make less than $100,000 together combined?
Yes.
Okay. So being that you make less than $100,000 combined, we're going to enter 2 for each eligible child. That means 2 times 2 is 4. And then it says minus 1 if you have 2 to 4 eligible children. So you do. So we're going to have 4 minus 1, which is going to give you 3. Okay? So that's how that works. And then line H, Noble, it says add up all the numbers. So we're going to add up 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. So Noble, you had 4 because you thought you had 4 in your household, but you really have 8 as a claim that you can actually make. Okay? So we're going to put 8 here. Now, Noble, there is also a page 2 to the W-4 form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here and just kind of talk about page 2 really quick. And Noble, I know that you are living in an apartment that you're renting, but the W-4, you can usually pick up another allowance if you have a qualifying home mortgage interest and if you're going to do itemized deductions. So did you take the standard or itemized deductions last year?
Standard.
Okay. So you're going to probably still do the standard, but if you were itemizing, we would be able to claim your home mortgage interest, any charitable contributions, state and local taxes that you can see here, and that will usually help you pick up at least one more allowance here. But in this case, because you are renting, you probably won't be able to pick up an extra allowance here. However, another way that you can pick up additional allowances is if you have a home-based business, and that's what line 4 is if you have a home-based business. Now, I'll talk to you about this a little bit later, but the home-based business will allow you to pick up several more allowances depending on the type of business that you're in. So let's go back to the front of your page. And guys, all I did is I just planted a seed in his head. So I'm going to say, Noble, you can actually claim 8. Now, on your form, you claim 4. So let's just look at how much your check is going to probably go up on a monthly basis. And what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to pull up this particular document, and I'm going to show Noble this. And I'm going to say, now, Noble, I know that you're married. Do you and your wife make between $42,000 and $102,000 a year?
Yes.
Okay. And so, Noble, what you'll see here is for every allowance, it's worth about $63, every allowance that you have. So you filed 4, but really we're going to file 8 when we redo this, which gives you 4 more allowances that you didn't have previously. So if I multiply 4 times 63, and I'm going to pull out my calculator so that you can see this. If I pull out my calculator and multiply 4 times 63, that's going to give me $252. Now, Noble, do you get paid every 2 weeks or every week or once a month? How often do you get paid?
Bi-weekly.
Okay. So since you get paid every 2 weeks, this $250 is per month. So I'm going to divide that by 2. And every check that you have should increase by $126 per check. Okay? So it should increase by $126 per check, or for the month, it's going to be $252 a month. Noble, could you use an extra $250 a month in your check?
Yes.
Absolutely. And so now you'll see, Noble, how we're able to get that money back. And I told you that it would be somewhere between $200 to $250 a month that we would actually get back in your check. And that's what you're going to probably see. You're going to see an increase of about $250 in your check. And Noble, since you're married, what you're going to do is you're going to have your wife fill out this form as well so that she can get that money back in her check as well. So what I'm going to do, Noble, at this time, I'm going to actually take a screenshot of this, and I'm going to send this to you. And so what I'm doing, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm actually pulling out my tool called Gene, and I'm just going to take a screenshot of this, and he should see me do this right here on his screen. And I'm going to capture that, and I'm just going to name it Noble W4. And I'm going to say, Noble, I'm going to send this to you. I'm going to send you this screenshot so that you will see exactly how we filled this out. And Noble, when you get the W4 form, I'll send you a blank W4 form. This number 8 is actually going to go here in line number 5. You'll put 8 here, and then you'll put in your name, your last name, your social security number, your home address. You're going to click married, and then the number 8. And then what you want to do is you want to sign it and date it, and then you want to turn this into your HR department. And by your next paycheck, you should see an increase in your pay.
Wow.
So Noble, was that pretty simple and easy to do?
Yes, it was.
Okay, great. Now, Noble, like I told you, your check is going to go up by $256. However, the other thing that I did not talk to you about, I just kind of briefly talked to you about, is there's a page 2. And with the page 2, you can add additional allowances if you have a home-based business. So if your check went up by $250, would you be interested in $500, your check going up by $500?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I knew you would. And so, Noble, what I'd like to do is I'd like to, when I send you this blank document and the video of how this is filled out, not the video, but the blank document and the screenshot, would you be open to taking a look at an 8 to 10 minute video about our business? Because I can teach you how to do exactly what I just did for you. Let me ask you this question first. Noble, do you have any people on your job that might want an extra $250 a month in their check?
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, okay. So, Noble, typically what I would do is I would tell you for anybody that you refer to me, I would give you a $25 referral if that person got in business with me. Or, Noble, what you could do is you could actually become a business owner, and your check could go up, instead of $250, we could have your check go up $300 to $500. And then for every person that you help do what I just did with you, you could start getting paid for that. And we have a program where, we bring 7 people into our business, you get a $1,000 check. Do you think you know 7 people who want to add an extra $200 to $500 into their check?
Absolutely, yes, I do.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send the document over to you like I promised. I'm going to send you a link that tells you a little bit about our business. And then, Noble, what I'd like to do is I'd like to schedule a time to follow up with you to find out what you thought of that video. Is that okay?
Yes, it's okay, brother.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an appointment to follow up with Noble within the next 24 hours. I'm going to have him check that email, and I know that he's going to check the email because it has all the instructions for him to get that extra $250, and then he's going to click on that link to figure out how he can get even more back in his check. And so some people are just going to take the form, get the extra $250, and that's it. But then there's going to be a lot of other people that are going to get that money, and then they're going to say, man, that was pretty easy to do, and you get paid to do this. I'm interested in learning more about your business. And then when I follow up with Noble, I'm going to be talking to him about the business the second time that I follow up. So at this point in time, that is the schedule. That's how I do it from soup to nuts, from beginning to end. I do my advertising, they leave a message with me, I follow up and I set a 15-minute appointment with them, and then I get them on the internet, on Join Me. I show them what I just shared with you guys. I do the W-4 for them. I do a screenshot of the W-4. I send the W-4 to them, and then I also send a link with a video for the My Econ presentation. And then I follow back up with them to talk about the My Econ presentation. Now, there are some people in My Econ that actually charge to do the W-4, and that's perfectly fine. If you want to charge somebody $25 to do the W-4, that's perfectly fine. If you want to charge them $50, I think Sana charges $100 to just do the W-4. So you can charge whatever you want to do the W-4. I would say that in the beginning that you do it for free so that you can get your experience. And then if you decide that you want to charge $25, $50, $75 for the W-4, then you can start charging for the W-4. And then here's what you can do. If the person pays you $25 or $50 for you to do their W-4, you do their W-4. When you get to the business component, what you can say is, hey, listen, if you decide that you want to do the business, I can give you a $50 coupon. Now, where's that $50 going to come from? That $50 is going to come from them paying you $50 to do the W-4. So you really didn't have to spend $50 to give them a coupon. They're just paying for it anyway. They're paying for it anyway, but it sounds like a great deal. They're getting a deal because they paid you $50 to do the W-4, and if they don't come back and get in your business, well, guess what? You keep the $50 in your pocket. But if they decide that they want to do the business and want to get in business with you, then you can go buy a $50 coupon and then give them the coupon to get started in the business. All right. With that being said, we are at the hour. And so I'm going to open up the call for any questions that anybody has on what they just saw. The call is open. Any questions?
Okay, Join Me. Start off a free trial.
Right. So here's what I would encourage you to do, John. With Join Me, the only difference from the free version of Join Me and the paid version of Join Me, there's two major differences. One is you can only have 10 people on your call or on your webinar. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not a major issue because when we're doing the training, it's just me and that person. So it's never more than 10 people. In fact, there's 9 people on the webinar right now. So I haven't even gone over 10. So you really don't need the paid version because it's as long as you have less than 10 people. The other feature that's available for the paid feature is if I want to give my screen to somebody else and I want to see their screen, I can do that with the paid version. You can't do that with the free. With the free version, you can only show your screen and you can't give control to somebody so that you can see their screen. That's not a big deal because if I want to see their screen, I'll just have them get Join Me and then they can show me their screen with their Join Me account. Okay? So for everybody on the call, I just recommend that you have the free Join Me account, and you don't need to get the paid Join Me version until you start having a large enough team where you're going to be doing stuff like what I'm doing, and then you might want to upgrade to the paid version. But starting out, there's no need for anybody on this call to go get the paid version of Join Me.
All righty.
All right. Anybody else with questions?
June, this is Harry Page.
Yes, sir.
I have a question about the training tonight. The audio, is that going to be available with the Join Me video?
It should be. It should be. So this is my first time actually recording with Join Me, and we dialed into the Join Me conference call. So the audio should be in sync with the video.
Great. I want to review this training over again several times.
Okay. I'll send it out to you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, no.
Yes, sir.
Man, feel good, man. Good training. Good training, brother. Good training.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We'll be doing this type of training every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be covering different things to build your business. I needed to get back to our team. I needed to get, and not that the Sunday night calls aren't good, but I needed to get back to training. And so we're going to be training on this W-4. We got to train on this and train on this because, as you can see, this could be your money. This is a money maker right here. The W-4 is a money maker, and it gets you in front of people without you having to push my econ on them. Everybody wants to know how to get an extra $200 to $500 back in their check, and you just delivered. I just delivered $200 to $500 back in the person's check, and then all I do is I follow up with them and say, hey, do you want more? And I don't know anybody that's going to say, you know what, I'm good with the $250. I don't need $500. Usually when I say, would you want more, $300 to $500, instead of the $250, would you want more? Usually they say yes, and I say, okay, great. I'm going to send you all the documents that I promised, but in addition with that, in that email, make sure you click on the link and watch the 8-minute video or the 10-minute video. And I usually will send them either a Keith Tucker video. My econ has a new video that's going to be coming out pretty soon. It's really nice. I'll send them that. I'll send them, I'll just send them a video that tells a little bit about who my econ is and what we do. And then I'll follow up with them at 24 hours later, I'll follow up with them and say, hey, tell me a little bit about what you liked about the video. And then I'll answer any questions that they have about my econ. And even if they don't make a move right then, I'm going to follow back up with them so that I can verify that their paycheck did increase. So I may tell Noble, I said, well, Noble, when's the next time you get paid? And Noble says, well, I get paid on the 15th. And I'm going to say, okay, great. Turn this in tomorrow when you get to work. And then on the 15th, I'm going to give you a call, and I'm going to see if your paycheck went up. And he's going to say, all right, cool. And so what that does is that gives me another touch point to follow up with him. And when I follow up with him, he's going to be excited because his check actually went up $100 and whatever dollars. And then I'm going to ask him again, Noble, do you think there's other people that would be interested in this? And he's going to say yes. And I'm going to say, now, Noble, I'm willing to pay you for you to give me the names of people that you know. So if you'll give me names of the people that you know, I'm willing to give you a referral fee or a finder's fee. Or, Noble, I'm willing to train you so that you can get all the money for yourself. Which one do you want? Do you want a small finder's fee or do you want all the money? Do you guys see how I position that? Because most people are going to say, I want all the money. So that's how you have to say it. Do you want a small finder's fee or do you want all the money? And if he says, I want all the money, then I'm like, man, we need to go ahead and get started. Okay? And here's what he's going to say. Noble's going to say, man, I ain't got $179. And I'm going to say, Noble, you're lying because I just helped you get $150 of it. You just told me your paycheck went up $100 and some odd dollars this week. So let's use that money to get you started in business, and then you can keep the rest of the money every time you get paid. But let's use that money to go ahead and get you started. So it eliminates a lot of the different excuses that people might have. So you definitely want to follow up with that person once they get their check. If they get paid on the 15th, call them on the 15th to see if they got the increase. And if they have not joined the business at that time, prompt them to either give you referrals to get some of the money or join you in business to get all of the money. And if they tell you they don't have the money to get started, remind them that you just helped them get an extra $150 or whatever that they don't have or that they didn't have before. All right. Any other questions? Man, this was good. This was good. Hopefully you all enjoyed this, and hopefully there was some value here. I will send I'll send the link to this training as soon as this is over with. I'll send it out to everybody, and we'll just go from there. Any questions that are out there before I close the call out?
Oh, incidentally, my new join.me is join.me/HWH-myecon.
All right. All right. That's John Martindale, folks. That's John Martindale. He is a great gentleman, and he is someone that is going to tear this business up. Thank you, John. Anybody else? Last call before I close out the call for the night.
Great training, June. Look forward to sharing this with people on my team as well. Thank you.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will chat with you next Sunday, or this Sunday. We have our Sunday call. I am actually traveling to Norfolk tomorrow, and I will be out of town for the next 3 days. But I will be back online Sunday, and we'll have our Sunday night call at 7:55. I'll talk to you guys later. God bless. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Good night.